All right, here we are, returning back to the trash fire. Your host Matthias, on with the boy.
John.
What a couple of weeks, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Busy, busy, busy.
Busy, busy.
Luckily, besides one major news story in Warhammer, didn't really miss that much.
Yeah. It's been a slow grind for Games Workshop. They they
Not for
seem
a
to just be
lot.
dropping their loads all at once. And we'll see with the Sunday preview, but releases are just coming all at once, as opposed to kind of the drip feed that we're used to for the past few years.
Yeah, I think I prefer the drip feed at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to get all the news all at once, but then it really just leaves a lot to desire when it actually drops,
Mm-hmm.
instead of being slowly hyped up. But I mean, this is
Right.
this is just Space Marines. Now, who really cares too much about the
I know,
Space
right?
Marines?
Who really cares besides
And
everyone?
no one cares about the poster boys, okay? But we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. We got some catch up news to go over. Obviously, the big meta change that dropped a couple weeks ago now,
Mm-hmm.
and then we got some interesting Star Wars Legion to look over as well. But first, we're gonna talk about some video games because we got some release dates finally.
Oh my gosh, yes. Lots of amazing Warhammer games coming out.
Yeah, so we only got two really, but we got Realms of Ruin, the new RTS that's coming out. They go over a few things in the trailer, customize your maps, armies, the works. It's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully better than AOS. I mean, Dawn of War. Seeing how you can, create your own map and everything.
Yeah, that's a really rare aspect these days you see in games as a map editor. Or back in the day with like Warcraft 3, StarCraft, Age of Mythology. Map editors were kind of a big deal and very common. And now it's rare. It's rare to see them. So having a map editor for Realms of Ruin is pretty amazing, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, RTSs have fallen hard since the
Yep.
2000s,
Yep.
but yeah, that's coming in, and then of course the staple, you got your army painter, so you can customize your units. And we got the three other factions that they mention as well. So
Yeah.
we'll be
Haven't
having
revealed the
four
chaos one
factions
yet.
at launch. I'm sorry, what
Yes.
did you say?
Oh, they haven't revealed the chaos faction yet, but I have a feeling we'll be seeing them soon.
Of course. And when can we expect this? November 17th. So just around the corner. 2 months for this game.
Hmm.
Probably hold off. Because there's so many games coming out at the end of this
Yeah,
year. It's ridiculous.
I think I'll pick it up just to play it because I mean, yeah, my video game backlog is gonna explode soon with like Assassin's Creed Mirage and then Space Marine, then Realms of Ruin. I'm playing Mortal Kombat right now. It's just like, oh, and there's Rogue Trader coming out, which I think we'll talk about later. But yeah, holy cow, so much good Warhammer games.
Well, it's funny you should mention Rogue Trader because that's the next game that they reveal in this article. And, not too much information other than the important information of it coming out December 7th. So, last month of the year. Pick yourself up a nice Christmas present.
Yep,
Play some good old, what do you call this? Turn-based strategy game?
it's essentially Warhammer Baldur's Gate.
True.
I don't know what to call it. RPG, classic RPG. I don't know.
Strategic RPG. There you go. But yeah, and then they show that you'll have a dark Eldar companion, cause of course you will. But yeah, that is cool. That's all coming out. What's really disappointing is no Space Marine. When is
Yeah.
Space Marine 2 coming out?
Yes. Just all we know is winter, whatever that means. I mean,
That could be
winter
2024.
could be January. Yep.
But still on the wait. But jam-packed games coming out. I mean, John mentioned Mortal Kombat. I got Mortal Kombat. I've been playing that. I'm not
Do you
not
play
really that
online or do
good.
you just single player?
Both,
Oh, okay. I just play single player. That game has been. Did you finish the story yet?
of course.
Dude, that game is like bananas. In a way that like Warhammer is bananas. I think I was very happy with how that game turned out.
Well, we can talk more about that at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, so video games coming. Now let's get on to the model news here. So Sunday preview, of course, which is where we're gonna start. Getting all the Space Marines. Space Marines are coming out. Well, not all the Space Marines, but we're getting majority of the Space Marines.
No, this is all the Space Marines they announced.
I thought there was one they didn't give out.
Which one? The Cap.
The Dreadnought, I believe, is not sold on its own yet.
Oh, it is now. Oh, you mean the corset stuff?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're right. But the stuff they announced at Nova, except the Terminator Captain, the rest, which honestly no one cares about. I talked to a bunch of people, none of them care about that model. My hate is justified. But yeah, besides that model, everything else is coming out, which is awesome.
Yes. So we're getting obviously the Codex, standard Codex you're gonna get, and then we're getting the limited edition Codex, which I applaud GW. I prefer these special edition codexes compared to 9th edition special codex, where it literally just scrolling back up here, where it just literally took out the top and bottom borders just to expand the cover art and said, "Oh yeah, this is a special edition book." At least this is different.
Right.
I may not like it, but at least it's different.
Yeah, at least it's different. Agreed.
So if you want to spend, I'm trying to remember, a codex is what, $50?
So this one's gonna be $60. Now it's pricey, but I mean, it's pricey. I will say though that it is like 200 something pages. I mean, Space Marines being the flagship poster boys, you do get. I think you do get what you pay for with the codex. Now, I have not seen the Tyranid Codex up close yet, so I can't speak for the quality of this edition's codexes, but I hope they're better than 9th edition. I don't know if you know this, Matt, but I kind of hate the 9th edition codexes.
Really?
They were very... What's up?
Really?
Yeah, they were very light on lore. There are too many rules, I think. And I think something they fixed, which is the overabundance of stratagems, relics, warlord traits, like all of that, we complain from a gameplay perspective how that kind of bloated the game. But it also bloated the codexes. You had pages upon pages of just more rules, right? And the lore sections were pretty light, especially if you compare to them 8th edition codexes, which had a sizable chunk of lore and artwork. I actually just speaking, although sorry, on the other side, for Age of Sigmar, their battle tomes are amazing. I got the Cities of Sigmar launch box, and I've been reading the battle tome here and there. It is so good. There's a boatload of lore, boatload of pictures. There's painting guides there. I'm like trying to figure out which free city I'm doing, and there's painting guides on how to I'm gonna do Hammerhall Gira, and it's like how to paint the cloth from this free city, how to paint the shield, and it's like, wow, this is great. So I do hope that quality is transferred to the 40k codexes. Now again, the Tyranid Codex is out, but I must confess, like I said earlier, I have not looked at it. So I hope that the Space Marine Codex, which I will be picking up, is at least similar to the Age of Sigmar battle tome in quality. And I really hope it's not like the 9th edition codexes, because they are just too light on the non-rules part.
Well, from what little bits and pieces I got from Chapter Master Valric, for the Tyranid Codex, I mean, it's got some pretty interesting lore in there. So new lore, not rehash lore. How extensive it is, I don't really know. But you got who's the traitor? The Corsairs, Arkin.
Oh, Huron Blackheart.
Huron Blackheart, yes. I believe like a little subsection of the Hive fleet got sucked into the warp, and now he's dealing with Tyranids inside the warp.
That's kind of cool.
So there's that. That's like the only thing I can really remember, but there's other information going out in there as well.
Yeah.
So I think your lore is going to be a little more substantial.
Yeah,
in
that's
these
my
10th
hope.
edition books than obviously the last one, 9th edition. And I mean, I would expect Space Marine books to be the most expensive, given that I think they have the most data sheets.
They straight up have the most data sheets. Even after a bunch were squatted, they still have the most data sheets.
Yeah, so usually, at least for the past 2 editions, I want to say I really can't remember if 8th edition was, but I remember 9th edition was the Space Marines was the most expensive book.
Yeah.
Out of all the codexes. Just because of how thick that book was.
Right.
I think 8th edition was too, but I really can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the codexes and the codex rant. Moving on, obviously, we'll just speed through these. Captain with Jump Pack already gave our opinions back on these.
Actually, I want to say something here. So if you guys remember the podcast where I complained about this model, I was like, oh man, I really wish they had a pose with a sword raised up. And guess what? It has one. What the FGW? Why didn't you show this? This model is way cooler now. I'm talking about that pose here with the sword raised up. We didn't see that.
Yeah, but is it only the sword raised up with the power sword?
With the power sword, yeah, I was complaining how I wish it had a pose like that because I'm not a fan of the chainsword pose. How it's covering his body and it's very kind of reserved of a pose. And I specifically said a sword. If you listen to that podcast, I really specifically said I wish there was a pose where he was raising his sword up, leading the charge, and here it is. Looks like he had it all along.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. I'm jokingly mad, right? Come on, why didn't you show this? But I'm glad that this exists because now he really looks like a captain. Now, to be devil's advocate, the pose is kind of generic. I think the assault sergeant or assault intercessor sergeant and the jump pack intercessor sergeant have similar poses. But regardless, it's cool that I'm glad this pose exists. Makes me want the model even more, or actually want the model. Because it fixes the problem I had with it, so just want to point that out.
Yeah, well, also, I hope the chainsword could be pointed out because I don't really want the power sword. If I was to get this model, of course.
Totally fair.
So we got that. I got the chaplain in Terminator armor, of course.
Might actually pick that up.
Yeah, I'll pass on that one. Company of Heroes, the Command Squad. Which I think, pretty sure you were going to pick up.
Yeah. I don't think I'll pick this up on release, just because I want to work on what I have first and not get full units. I do want to pick up the Terminator Captain, because I really like my Terminators, and having him lead them would be super cool. Of course. And I don't want to work on a Terminator Captain just yet to lead them, but yeah, my second pickup from this release probably will be the Company Heroes box, because yeah, it's just super cool.
It's a nice model kit. Got that. Obviously, the Terminator Squad with more weapon options. Wanted to give them the flamer, the little, what do they call it? Cyclone missile launcher.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You can get those options. The jump pack intercessors. These I probably will pick up. I'll probably pick up a squad.
It's a cool unit.
Well, I'm running Black Templars, and you know what I'm missing? I'm missing some jump packs for close combat here.
You do want your jump packs.
So you got them. The Stern Guard vets, with more weapon options from the core set. Yeah. Pretty sure the core set is just the Melta-gun, right? That's only special weapon?
For the stern guard, it is the heavy bolter. So now you get a heavy flamer. I'm not sure how the combi weapon rules will change. So I don't know if the Melta gun is a Melta gun or if it's just a combi weapon. Power Sword 2 is not in the core set kit, so that's a cool new addition.
Combi weapons are just like anti-infantry
Yeah,
plus
it's not
4.
like the old times where you actually had the
The
plasma or
Melta-gun.
Melta. Yeah.
Yes. So that's coming out. The Lieutenant, which I felt like they showed off before, but here he is.
Yeah. This is the one from the Strike Force Agastus box.
Got it.
I actually really like this. Unironically, like this lieutenant. I don't like that it's $45. That's kind of pricey for a single model.
Well, you're paying for the options.
You are paying for the options. This is true. Once again, reminder all our listeners: if more options means bigger costs. Like just how it is. You're paying for more things. But yeah, I really like this, but probably will skip on it because of the price tag. Don't want to spend that much for a single model. That's not even like a special character.
Yep. The Brutalis Dreadnought. Yeah. Need to get that close combat ready.
Oh yeah,
Here he is, finally sold on his own. The Desolation Squad.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk more about these guys later. But there you go. You can finally get your giant Nerf guns. All on their own now instead of having to buy that one box set. And then we got a combat patrol with some Terminators. Terminator Chaplain, or not Chaplain, sorry, Captain, the librarian from the Leviathan box set. And 5 I was about to call them Pyromancers. They're not Pyromancers. Infernos.
Inferno Squad. Yep. Something.
Yes. Fire something. And
then this is just the Leviathan stuff.
It's okay.
It's just the Leviathan stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you even get the never mind, that's not the lieutenant, never mind, that's just an Infernal Sergeant. So you get that. The mini Leviathan. And then obviously dice, which again, I like the marble looking dice. Always looks nice to me than the plain color. And that nice shade of blue. Beautiful.
Stringflation, dude. 16 dice. We're down from 20 to 16.
I know, right? But we've been down since like second half of 9th edition.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And then obviously the data cards, which I highly advise not buying, but that is up to you.
$40 for cards.
For cards that'll probably get FAQ'd.
Yep.
Errata.
Just spend $20 and get the codex.
Yeah. Just take a picture of your codex pages, cut it out. There you go, got your own cards.
Yep.
And then when they get FAQ, just print that out and slap it on your cards. Get that. Chapter approved Leviathan mission deck. I guess finally being on its own after finally getting fixed after being having some misprints on there.
Yep. Thank goodness.
And then of course we got 30K. We didn't get to talk about this guy. But the Starwars Legion Traitor. Give it to me, John. How is it?
This guy is great, especially compared to the old one. The old one, sorry, actually, there is no old one. Take it back. There is a Terminator one. That's an older one, so it's not getting replaced. But the Terminator one, I actually really don't like. It is a very weirdly posed, weirdly detailed, weirdly sculpted model. This one is super cool. It's the new Mark III as well, so it's kind of a tie-in to the new box with the Mark III stuff. Yeah, this I think checks all the boxes. It has Space Wolf iconography. It has a cool pose. It's modern, and by that I mean it has the new design. Yeah, this is great. This is not an Imperial Fist character, first of all, but yeah, it looks like other legions are still getting stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Space Wolves because we all know what they did to my boys
True.
and their home planet. But this is it's a very nice looking model.
Yeah.
I look at this and I do not see a generic Space Marine,
Yes.
and that means GW Forge World did their job.
Yeah, and it's also not overly wolfy. It kind of harkens to that space Viking vibe
Yeah,
for
you know
30
what? I take it back. It's missing the wolf helmet. It needs the wolf helmet.
At least he has the wolf belt. But yeah,
So
cool model. I like him.
that's that. That's coming out. And then obviously we got the redone version of the Space Wolf helmets.
Dude, I didn't realize those other ones were so hated that they actually just made new ones.
I
That's
mean,
funny.
they didn't fit. Like they were so bad.
They're so bad.
I look at them, I'm like, wow, I could see some of this being in Power Rangers.
Yep. I wonder if they'll replace. No, I didn't really say if they're replacing them.
Nah, they're gonna keep them.
Yeah,
They're
but
gonna keep them.
yay for Space Wolves. You don't have if you don't like those Wolfie McWolf heads, you get to use these heads, which
Well, I
are just
mean,
beaky heads. So if you hate beakies, you're SOL. But if you're cool with beakies like me, you still be good in your Space Wolf models.
I mean, it's not good to compare these to the other helmets, so we're not gonna compare it. But how do these stand on their own, John?
I think they're nice. I think they are unique enough, and they have little claw marks are kind of cool. The grills on the left ones are again like very savage looking. I think that's a cool design. They're different enough. It's not like the Ultramarine ones or forgot which one. It's another Legion where not counting Raven Guard because Raven Guard is actually I think it is Raven Guard. Yeah, Raven Guard Ultramarines where they just look so generic, very minor differences to the regular helmet. I think these ones are different enough and not too overboard. So yeah, if you like Mark 6 beaky helmets and you play Space Wolves, these are great. If you don't like Mark 6, they won't save Mark 6 for you in the way I think there's some helmets that like the Dark Angel ones and the I think Salamander's ones are just kind of different. They're just straight up not beakies. So if
Right.
you don't like beakies, well, sorry, this is what you get. But if you like beakies or are cool with beakies, I think they do their job really well.
I'm cool with beakies. I don't play them, but I'm cool with them. So we got that Black Library. We're getting Gene Father, Guy Haley book. So we got a good old call against Fabius Bile. So that's coming out. I haven't really heard anything about this book, but it'll be interesting. We got a Admech in the limelight, and then obviously Fabius Bile. We'll have to see. I'll have to see some reviews to see if it's worth it, good listening to. But we're getting that special edition of this book, obviously. Wrath of the Lost, Flesh Terrors novel by Chris Forrester. That's coming out. Only in Death. We got a damn Amnet Gaunt's Ghost book being put into audio. We got Eisenhorn being in German, along with the Pilgrims book. Another War Boss being in French. Got some Age of Sigmar shorts coming digital as well. And then Warhammer Plus, we got Pariah Nexus, Lore Master, and looks like how to paint some fire on your little shoulder pads for Space Marines, which I kind of need to do. Kind of want to learn that. So it's a jam-packed week of stuff that's be coming out. Pretty nice. There's also another thing that I forgot to put in here, but there's going to be a Caiaphas Cain book coming out as well. Celebrate 20 years. They're gonna have a limited special edition book. I might pick it up just because I enjoy the series, even though I've only read 2 books of it, but that's coming out as well. Moving on to some models here. We've got another 30k model. Again, we've been gone for a while, so we need to catch up a little bit. But we got the Traitor Champion console. And there you go. You were asking for some traitor characters. Is this what you were hoping for, John?
Yo, this is probably the best generic HQ model they've made, in my opinion, for Heresy. Yeah, this is amazing. I really want it. I want like 10 of them for my current legions and any future legion projects as like a Praetor. Because there's not like a lot of just specifically Traitor bits. The same way the Loyalist one doesn't have specific Loyalist bits on it. Maybe the little eyes, which you can just shave off quite easily, or just paint them as stars or whatever. But yeah, this is great. It doesn't. I will say it's not a criticism, but it doesn't scream Legion Champion. Legion Champion in the lore is a Spacemarine character who is really good at dueling and melee combat. Like it's all he does, and his rules give him bonuses to melee combat. So this one doesn't scream that, but neither does the Loyalist one, in my opinion. They are just generic hero Spacemarine with sword. So that's the only thing bad I can say. Other than that, like he's great. Going off what I just said, I would probably use him as a Praetor as opposed to a champion. Because he's just so cool. Yeah, pose is great, design is great. I think his pistol hand is an easy to convert spot. By that I mean you could probably easily chop the hand off and give like a bolt pistol or another sword or something, and it wouldn't look too weird. Yeah, this is awesome. I want one.
I mean, they're knocking it out of the park.
Yeah,
with these characters.
This kills it.
I do
enjoy definitely
it.
The best generic armored, or I guess artificer armored character for Horus Heresy.
I agree. I think it's a very well designed. I don't think it's as good as the Space Wolf that we saw, but
that's fair.
It's generic. It's generic enough to where it could be used for other legions, I suppose.
Also, Mark III, again tying into the new release. I do like how you see some design elements that are tying into big releases, right? We saw with the Space Wolf guide how he's in Mark III, and it's the new Mark III design, not the old one as well, because we're having that new box set come out soon. So, yeah. I'm very pleased.
Well, there's some other 30k news that we got, and it was not Horse Heresy. The Fulgrim book here. Exemplary Battles of the Age of Darkness with Fulgrim on the cover there, Volume 1. And then we also got to see some of Fulgrim's stats here. I'll let my 30k expert go over this, since he will tell me if this is good or not.
I mean, big thing I think to mention is he is 600 points, which means he does fit in a 3,000 point game, because in 30k, like in old 7th edition, only 25% of your points can be allocated to a Lord of War and Primarch choice. So thankfully, Fulgrim does fit that. People were saying like, oh, he's going to be too expensive, you can't have him in a regular game, but I think it's in Games Workshop's best interest to cost him in a way and balance him in a way that he fits in a 3,000 point game. And he's under 750, which is the cap for 3k, so you could take him. Looking at his stats, it's pretty good. He has, Weapon Skill 8 is great. He has Murderous Strike. Honestly, when I look at stuff like this, I just, the immediate thing that comes to mind is, can it survive against Contemptor Dreadnoughts? And the answer is yes, Fulgrim will survive. Probably will kill Contemptor Dreadnoughts because of his high weapon skill, and because he has Murderous Strike. Because in 30k, there's not a lot of ways to deal multiple wounds in combat. Unlike in 40k and AOS where there's like that damage stat,
Mm-hmm.
in 30k, like in old 40k, you only really do 1 damage unless you instant death something, which is fine against Space Marines like Terminators and stuff. But against Dreadnoughts, you want either a brutal weapon or something with Murder Strike. Now he has both. The brutal weapon though has the Wrathful Blows 3 rule, which means you can only make a maximum of 3 attacks with that weapon. But I think you really use that for like tanks and stuff. I think if you're fighting Contemptors, you just use the other
It
kind of
decapitating
melee
slash.
profile. Yeah, because you get 7 attacks plus any charge bonuses. And it has Murder Strike 4-up, which means on a 4-up to wound, it's an instant death wound, which does D3 damage to or D3 wounds to Dreadnoughts per unsaved wound. So yeah, he's great, and I have the urge to play Emperor's Children again, but I don't think that's gonna happen just because of one model. But yeah, he's great. I don't think it his special rules have to be really good, I think, to justify the 600 point cost, because he will delete things in melee, but you know what else deletes things in melee? Dreadnoughts, right? But Dreadnoughts can get shot up by last cannons. Now, thankfully, Dreadnoughts aren't 600 points. Fulgrim, I think he needs to have enough special rules to buff his army or ways for him to survive shooting, because I mean, yeah, he's a big tough Primarch that's toughness 7 with 7 wounds, hopefully at least a 4-up invul, because otherwise he'll just get deleted by last cannons. And you know, yeah, he can join a unit, but you need to join a unit that has invulnerable saves like Terminators. But if you do that, probably will be able to take advantage of his wings and fast movement, which I'm gonna see. He has movement 9, right? And I'm sure his wings give him something. So that means he has to join like a command squad or an assault squad or something. And but out of those two choices, you want the command squad, because at least they could take combat shields, which still is only a 6-up invul. Because he's gonna get shot at. You know, if you're playing Fulgrim against an enemy, they will probably shoot everything at Fulgrim.
Of course.
Straight up. And if he's in a Spartan, you bet they're gonna shoot everything at that Spartan, and then Fulgrim when he comes out. So
Wait,
he
hold
needs
on,
to
hold
be
on,
able
hold
to
on.
survive all of that.
Hold on,
And
hold on.
oh, what's up?
Did you just say he can be in a vehicle?
Unless it says he can't be, Primarchs can go in vehicles. They just have a bulky whatever rule. So
But this guy's like humongous. How is he gonna fit in a
maybe
little vehicle?
he'll have a rule, right, that prevents him from doing that.
But,
But if he
he
doesn't,
just coils up and he just
that'll be if he just
fits right
close up.
in.
Yeah, he close up. His wings just furl in. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but yeah, like he really needs something. He needs to give his army something for him to justify that cost. Otherwise, he'll just get shot. I mean, again, he'll delete anything in melee, which makes sense. But you gotta survive the enemy firepower, because 30k is a shooting game. That's why, and he can't really hide him. Like when I play Sanguinius, I hide him behind buildings. Kind of hard to hide Fulgrim in behind buildings because he's just so big.
Yeah, well, that's the Titan special, right?
Yep.
It's everyone will shoot at the big thing.
Yep.
Because they're
I can
scared.
imagine Mega Battle too. You just deploy him and your enemy army just unloads everything on him. He really needs some serious defensive tech.
Well, I mean, he's blessed by Slanesh, so I'm sure he'll have something.
I hope so.
Though I don't know anyone who's gonna run that model with
Yeah.
that spindly model.
Yep, freaking resin. Can't imagine the spear. Gosh.
But yeah, there is that going. We've got a book that's coming out as well.
Yeah, it's gonna have some special units and missions. Interestingly, it's gonna have some mostly reprints for units we've seen with the free PDFs for 30k. Hopefully buffing them, because most of them kind of suck. Some of them are good, but most of them kind of suck. And looks like there's a new unit for Salamanders as well. I mean, I'm picking the book up because it's a 30k book, and I'm contractually obligated to buy all of them. I just hope that it's substantial, right? You know, exemplary battles refers to the free PDFs they've been doing. So now if they're doing book form, they better, and they're going to charge us what, $40 for this. Better has stuff that's more than just rules for it to be
What do
to be a
you
good
want
product.
lore? I take it.
Oh yeah, I want lore, and it looks like they're going to have some painting guides and hobby guides there, which is great. Those are always welcome, especially because these units won't have specific models. They're usually kit bashes you can make. So having guides on how to make those special units would be awesome.
Would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yep, that's 30K. Moving on, we got some Necromunda news, which is been sparse lately.
Yeah.
So we're getting some Ash Waste content here. We're getting the book, Ruins of Jardalin. This is coming out. Gonna be focusing on the Vansar, it looks like, according to this, in the Ironhead Squad Prospectors. So, these are new, I think. They look familiar.
The arachnoid thingies?
Yeah.
So these are new. They are actually plastic. So they're plastic resculpts. Technically in the lore, they're a different unit. They have like jump boosters and stuff, so they can move quickly throughout the ash wastes as opposed to just the cramps of the underhive.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a similar design to the exosuit we've seen. But like I said, the most important thing is it's plastic. So
that's the important thing.
that's the important thing. It's going to be the Vansar vehicle for ash wastes.
Yeah. I mean, it's Vansar, so you like the aesthetic. I'm sure you enjoy these models.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like the Vansar aesthetic, but to each their own. So we're getting these bad boys, and then we're also getting the Ashway Nomad over here.
Special character, Lady of Ash.
Oscar, the Lady of Ash, and the little dinosaur that she has as well. Very cool model.
Very cool model. Probably will pick her up to add to my Ashways project that I'll finish someday.
One day, you know, we teased the Necromunda like very early on in the year.
I know, right?
And somehow it has not happened. In all those new tournaments and stuff, man.
Right.
Keeping us from going.
Right.
But yes, that is coming, and I think that's it. Oh, and then the outpost terrain that you could get from the starter box.
You can get it independently now, which is cool.
Yes, if you wish to expand or just have the terrain, there you go. I think that's it. Yes, so that's everything for Necromunda. Glad to see it's getting some updates again. That's going in there. Moving on, Warcry. No new models, but they are offering or giving us some new terrain here, as we can see in this picture. You want to make your battlefield a little more interesting, a little more beautiful, instead of using the same terrain from the base set. Here you are. Add a little more flavor to your game, a little more dimension, it looks like, as well. It's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. I think I would pick this up just so I wouldn't have to use the base terrain that I still have.
I like how they decided to, instead of having, I think this is going to be paired up with the ogres and the Cities of Sigmar Warcry team in a big box like they used to do, and I like how they're just splitting that up. They're going to have a separate box for the those models, and then a separate box for this stuff. Right. I think that's a good choice.
Yes, very nice. But that's it on the Warcry front. Not too much news in the front here. But go ahead and pick up. Like I said. make your battlefield a little more interesting. And then, of course, we're going to end off on the big news here of Warhammer, which we missed. I think this came out just before our last podcast here. The Metawatch, which is the new balance update. So let's just go ahead and jump into the balance data slate here.
I'll have you take the lead here because you actually play 40k unlike me.
Yeah, well, some big changes are actually came with this this update here. I'll just quickly go through it because it's like 2 weeks old news at this point. So I'm sure a lot of people have already seen videos and whatnot on it, but big change here. Devastating wounds are basically pseudo mortal wounds. So basically they just ignore armor and invul saves, and that's it. But they aren't mortal wounds. So you don't get a feel no pain save against something that would give you a save against mortal wounds.
They don't splash anymore, right?
And they do not splash anymore. So no longer can a D cannon from a Wraith Knight shoot a pile of guardsmen, do 12 mortal wounds, and then just miraculously kill 12 guardsmen. Now it'll be, 6 damage to 1 guardsman. So a little better in fixing that the nonsense, I would say. A little more balance, but it did screw over some armies like custodians who have a 4-up feel no pain. And like I said, since devastating wounds are not mortal wounds, technically, the custodians do not get that 4-up feel no pain because devastating wounds are not mortal wounds. So that was a pretty big change that happened. Other things that happened here, we got insane bravery. I thought this was already a thing, but after rereading the old insane bravery, it now just can be used once per game instead of being able to use multiple times per game. I didn't realize that had changed from 9th edition to this edition, but yes, now it's gone back to its old 9th edition way of being only used once per game. Overwatch has changed. So obviously Overwatch changed in the fact that you can no longer overwatch targets you cannot see, aka indirect fire weapons. So if a squad of Space Marines moved up and you shot with your artillery behind cover that does not have direct line of sight, you can no longer do that. So that's going to tone down the Eldar shenanigans there. And also, you cannot target this with Titanic units anymore. So for some reason, Titans, Knights, whatever, any Titanic thing is being punished for this as well, which, usually Titans have a lot of shots to shoot out, but you're still hitting on 6s and whatnot. But whatever GW is thinking, they're saying Titanic units can no longer use Overwatch. So a little bit of a nerf to the Titans as well for that one. Ruins invisibility. This has been a bit popular, pretty good change for Titanic units. Because, the towering special rule basically allowed you to see everything. And then they changed the towering rule last update to where, you could be shot at, but you couldn't shoot them if they were well hidden. Now it's being, if you're behind the terrain, because I don't know if you played 10th edition yet, but
I have played one game.
They've they've made terrain have area terrain, right? So now you have to, for a Titanic monster, whatever, actually has to be touching the terrain to be able to shoot out or be shot at. So now you can actually hide Magnus, Morty, whatever Titans behind terrain, and not be shot at, and actually have a turn to actually use the model instead of it being shot out one turn. So pretty big change, pretty significant change for that one. Obviously, it doesn't affect aircrafts, but your Titan units are pretty good now. Modifying the stratagem CP, that has changed. You can now, if it doesn't specify what stratagem by name, it only affects strategic stratagems, so that'll be a big change there. And then obviously the faction rules, Death Guard got buffed. Their spread the sickness is a little better compared to what it used to be. Eldari only change besides point changes, which we'll get to a little bit later. Only change to Eldari was Phantasm stratagem being changed to only being able to target infantry, so you couldn't use it on your vehicles anymore, or Titanic creatures as well. So nerfing the Wraith Knight as much as they can, which is acceptable because that's was a pain. Gene Stealer cults got nerfed hard. I can't really remember what happened to them because I don't play them and I wasn't really paying attention to the videos that were talking about them. But they got hit hard on this update. And Space Marines Desolation squads, they got nerfed squad size. They used to be a squad of 10 or up to 10, and now they're only a squad of 5. That's pretty much it on what I can recall of my knowledge of what's happening. And then obviously the field manual, we got the point updates. Everyone was pretty much a winner except for Eldar in the point category. I think majority, there's like select units in each army that went up just like a few points, but mainly everything went down in points. Obviously Space Marines being the biggest. Tyranids actually went up in points in this update, though I don't know if that was just to reflect the codex or if that's going to supersede the codex, because I don't know too much. But yeah, Eldar, thank God Karandris and the Scorpions didn't go up in points, my favorite units, so those stayed good. But units like Warp Spiders, they went up like 20-25 points. Avatar went up like 60 points. Fire Steers went up, no surprise. Support weapons went up. Good old Shadow Specters went up. It's a lot, like almost, I'd say about 70% of the Eldar army, all the hot units went up points. So no surprise there. Trying to think of something else here. Yeah, I mean, there's not really any other big noticeable changes. Black Templar, everything went down except for the Marshal. For some reason, the High Marshal went up in points. Just the basic High Marshal, not Hellbrook. Blood Angels, everything went down points. Space Wolves got a good buff to their cavalry, which I'll talk about later because I did play a game against some Space Wolves. But yeah, there's a lot of changes that went through. Everyone, like I said, everyone went up. I mean, everyone went down in points. Jukari got an unfair hit, I think mainly due to their association with Eldar. Their Ravager went up like 10 points, which not a big deal, but for a pure Drukhari army, that's pretty huge, considering that's probably the best unit in Drukhari right now is the Ravager. And that going up points, just isn't fair. And it's only because of the souping of Eldari that went up. These Stealer Colts, Grey Knights got pretty good. The baby carriers went down pretty significant amount of points. Knights, Leagues of Votann, don't really know. Necrons, Warriors went down, but the Lich Guard, I believe, went up in points. And there was a pretty nasty combo with the Lich Guards and one of the Cryptex. It pretty much became like unkillable with how many saves that they could have. So Lich Guard points went up, but Necron Warrior points went down. So a little offset points there. Probably not too big of a deal there. Yeah, I can't. There's a lot to go over. And I don't want to go over everything here, but those are the big ones. Oh, and then if Travis was here, he'd be happy to know that his Lord of Skulls went down to normal Lord of Skulls points. I don't know why World Eaters were subjected to their Lord of Skulls being so more expensive than everyone else's, but yeah, that went down as well. But yeah, that's all the news. I think the big news is mainly just the core changes. Everyone, from what I understand, saying that Eldar got pretty much just got a little slap on the wrist, saying that the changes that they got, the nerfs, really didn't do anything. So expect Eldar to keep dominating the tournament scene and just making the game unfun for everyone, because that's basically what I hear every Warhammer 40k YouTuber that talks about the game says, pretty much. So it's a little sad to hear, but I'm sure over time, as armies get their codexes, it'll get better, is what I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. But yeah, that is that. I don't know if you had any insight to these changes or not.
Not really. I mean, I don't play too much, and with the Spacemarine Codex imminent, that I'll be waiting for that to see where the faction stands that I play.
Alrighty then. Well then, I did mention earlier that we had some Star Wars news. So you submitted these pictures to me, so I'll let you go ahead and go off with this first picture. Here we got some Genosians. First, tell me how we got these pictures.
Yeah, so these are from the Ministravaganza event that AMG hosts every year. Essentially, they have 3 days of streams where they talk about the feature of the game, they talk about the design of the games, and they reveal some new stuff. So lots of reveals for Marvel Crisis Protocol, Star Wars Shatterpoint, and Star Wars Legion, which is what we talk about in this cast, because this is what we both play.
Indeed.
Yes.
Alright, so Genosian Warriors.
Yeah, so the next couple units, they did reveal their command cards and their stats, but I'll save that talk for when the official article gets released as they come out, because there's some upgrade cards that weren't revealed yet, and I want to just consolidate my opinions on those units when those articles come out. Now, I will talk about some of the rules that stand out to me, though. But first of all, yeah, we got Geonosians. We know these were coming, but yeah, they're going to be in the game. And they are a separatist unit, and they are not a mercenary unit in the way Ewoks are. By that I mean Ewoks are not technically a rebel unit. They're mercenaries, quote unquote. You could add to your rebel army, and you could also have an Ewok army using the Ewok battle force. While Geonosians, there's no battle force. They're not mercenaries. They're just a separatist unit. So no restrictions on adding them in your army. If you want some flying bugs, you got them. big thing I want to point out with their rules is they have the jump 3 as a free action. So normally the jump rule that Darth Maul, Boba Fett that they have, it's a action. So instead of moving, you essentially make the jump move, which is a move that ignores terrain and enemy models, right? Actually, I think it's only terrain. Anyways, regardless. For Geonosians, it's a free action, so you get to jump in addition to your 2 actions. So you could do stuff like, jump for free and then claim an objective or make an attack and then move again, or aim, jump, shoot. So lots of good action economy there. Now they do have a rule where if you are holding an objective, you don't get to use the jump roll, which is a good balancing thing. But their stats are pretty standard. They're range 2, they have white saves with surge defense, so they're pretty squishy. You really need to hop them around effectively to get the most out of them. But they're cool. I like Geonosians. I might pick some up for my droids, add some variety, run a droid army without droids.
Gonna just run a bug army.
Maybe.
I'll have
They're
to
pretty
get some raid
Yes. Yes.
with the web, the e-web cannons
The E-Web.
for.
Oh, there you go. The E-Web against the bugs. We also got some HQs for them and sorry, not HQs. We got one HQ and an operative. We got Sunfac from the Republic Commando game, and we got Poggle the Lesser from episode 2. So Sunfac is an operative, and his command cards were revealed, and they actually buffed some the Geonosian warriors that you could take with him. So he's just his stats aren't too crazy. He has the jump reaction like the other Geonosians. He has he gets to direct them, gives them free orders. He has a pierce weapon in melee. He has a pretty good ranged weapon. And then you got Poggle the Lesser, which is the more support commander character, right? He's an HQ or a command. Excuse me, as a commander. He also has the jump rule. And interesting, he has Entourage B2 battle droids. So what that means is if you have a B2 super battle droid unit, they get a free order if they're within range 1 of Poggle. And his command cards were also revealed. And interestingly, they're his command cards, which I'll go more again in depth when this article releases, but they seem to buff battle droids. So it's interesting that you want to run battle droids with him, not just a full Geonosian army. Kind of ties into how Geonosians are less of a faction within a faction in the way like Ewoks are, and they're more like another element of the Separatist army. So yeah, we got that. We got Sunfac and Poggle, and we got some Inquisitors, which is what I'm most excited about for Empire. So we got the rules for Fifth Brother and Seventh Sister, and yeah, they're cheap Force users with access to Force Push. Their command cards, nothing too crazy to point out yet, but yeah, I mean, one thing though that stands out for the rules is you could take 2 of them for 1 operative slot. So if you want to run Boba Fett or Operative Vader, and these 2 you can, and they're quite strong. They're pretty cheap. They're like 105, 110 points
Now, if you
for
run
a
both of
Force
them,
user. What's up?
you run both of them. Are they going to be 2 different tokens, or are they going to be the same activation token?
They're different. They're going to be different tokens. So it's essentially just 2 units, but they count as, or not count. One of them will. The rule is one of them won't count as an operative slot. He does still use the operative token though.
Got it.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't like calling things OP, but they seem kind of OP. They're cheaper than Boba Fett, and they have force push access. They're cheaper than I think IG. Well, with upgrades, they'll probably cost a little bit more, but yeah, they're so cheap for. I mean, force push wins games. I mean, even you don't play too much Legion, but like force push is really good, and I think you've seen that. And
No, I've only
yeah,
played with the the OP force choke. You
yeah,
never
this
really
is true.
used force push,
That's fair.
so I don't really know what it does.
So it's the one where you get to move an enemy unit, right? No rolls needed. You just kind of do it.
Hmm.
Usually that ability comes on like 150, 200 point Jedi, but again, these are like 110 points per per model, and they're pretty powerful. And they have pierce weapons. They have a ranged attack. They have all these special rules. Definitely gonna. I mean, Empire's already in a good spot in terms of action strength, and this doesn't lessen that at all. I mean, it's just more tools for Empire, which I am happy, and I'm sure you're happy as well.
Well, they definitely look like a fine addition to add my army.
Yeah, they're super cool. And then next we got Republic Commandos. So this is a much requested unit for Republic. And in addition to a generic squad, they'll also come out with rules for Delta Squad, which are the guys from the Republic Commando video game as a character unit. So this is super exciting. This makes me want to play clones again. Because I mean these are the classic elite clones. Like when people think of special forces clones, these guys come to mind. I mean they have a video game about them, right? So not sure if they'll have Empire rules for like Imperial Commandos, but I wouldn't mind if they didn't. I mean I think they're fine being Republic. Republic needs some more variety in their faction strength. So I hope these guys give that to the Grand Army of the Republic.
Yeah, well, I'm really interested in this next unit.
Yeah, we got range troopers. Which have you seen Solo?
I have not.
So these guys are from Solo, and they're from one scene in Solo, in an ice planet. So this unit is interesting.
Oh, good. They go good with my snowtrooper army.
There we go. Yeah, I hope they do something unique with them. I've been telling people when we talk about this that I hope they're not just another core unit or another special force unit. I hope they're like support unit. I think this unit needs to do something completely out there in terms of the rules for them to kind of just not be another stormtrooper unit, right? I hope maybe they have something like a range 4 gun that's white dice surge to hit. And if they were in the support slot, that would be super cool because we've already got Death Troopers, we already got Imperial Special Forces, we got Snow Troopers, Shore Troopers, Snow Storm Troopers. I mean, now we got Range Troopers, and I mean, the design is cool. Don't get me wrong, I really like the models, but I hope gameplay wise they do something different. Otherwise, we'll start to see redundancy in the Empire list, which I don't want to see.
Well, I'm definitely picking these up, so they're going with my snowtroopers.
There you go. And then next we have the Crab Droid, which is in like 15 seconds of episode 3. It's the droid looks like a crab, right? Same for the Range Troopers. I hope this unit is different from the Spider Droid, even though it's another droid with 4 limbs and has a gun. Maybe it's a more close range version. And we'll see. But yeah, I hope it does something completely different than Spider Droid. Otherwise, again, redundancy is bad I think in war games. You want units to be different, right?
Of
But
course.
what's up?
I said, of course.
Yeah, yeah. I have no desire to buy this, but for our droid friends out there, I hope it is good and unique. Next, we have a rebel unit. So these are rebel saboteurs, kind of like. Have you seen Andor?
No. I've
So
my Star Wars knowledge is only the movies and then the one clone trooper cartoon that was animated by Samurai Jack people.
yes, Clone Wars. That's a great one.
And
Yeah.
that's all I know.
So there's a scene, or a couple episodes in Andor, where the main characters kind of infiltrate an Imperial base and steal some money from it. So this unit is kind of inspired by that. They're not a one-to-one of the characters there, but it's kind of like rebels that are behind the lines with close range weapons that kind of mess up the enemy's plans. Maybe they'll have some rules that mess people's command cards up or orders or whatever. But I'm gonna echo what I've been saying earlier because I think Legion's at the point where this matters. I hope the rules are unique. I hope they're not just Rebel Commandos with a different skin. I hope, but out of everything, I hope they're good because Rebels right now aren't not in a good spot power level wise. I think they need more to help them out. But I mean, more stuff is always good for games. But that said, again, I hope they do something
Sometimes.
different. Yeah, that's
Sometimes
fair.
bloat is bad. Look at all the
Yes,
commanders and lieutenants we have in 40K.
this is true. Yeah, this is true. But yeah, Rebel Saboteurs were our rebel friends. This last one is interesting. So these are hard plastic sprue resculpts of existing units. So we got Darth Vader from the core set, we got Stormtroopers from the core set, and we got Luke from the core set. Or kind of Luke from the core set / operative Luke. But so those units I mentioned were soft plastic. We also have the Rebel Commandos from the first wave, and we have Princess Leia from the first wave when the game first came out. So these units are all going to get resculpted in hard plastic, the sprue style we're used to with the Warhammer models. So if you guys don't know, Legion, a lot of the early models are soft plastic. They don't come in sprues. They are unassembled, but the detail is lacking. They're not that good of models, to be quite honest with you. I don't know about you, Matt, but snow troopers, stormtroopers, rebel troopers, they look kind of ugly
Yep.
as models. Yeah. So this is the first attempt AMG is going to do to redo these units. Now, they did say this is coming out 2025 at the earliest. Will this mean a new
2025,
edition?
Jesus.
I don't know. Will it mean a new core set? Maybe. Marvel Crisis Protocol just got a new core set. Not a rules change, mind you, just a new core set with the resculpts of the old heroes. But yeah, maybe we'll see a new starter set for Legion with these new models, which I only have 2 units of stormtroopers. I do not mind more, especially if it's they're different sculpts, and you can never have too many Vaders, to be quite honest with you.
Might get some more operative Vaders. Get
Mhm.
more HQ Vaders.
There you go. But yeah, so these are some reveals we had for Star Wars Legion. We also got 2 new battle forces, which were released during Ministravaganza. These are only rules though. So the first one is we got the experimental droid battle force. So this battle force allows you to fill an army of Magna Guard, and it also has some rules for buffing your droids with your commanders. And then the other battle force is the Wookiee battle force. So now you can run an all Wookiee army in Legion. You don't need to pay the clone trooper troop tax. You can now just run Wookiees as troops. Both the melee the melee version is your troops choice, and the range version is your special forces choice. And you could run the Wookiee choppers and Yoda, Chewbacca, and the Wookiee chieftain. So for our listeners who want to just have an army of Wookiees in Legion, you can do that now. Those are on the AMZ website.
Well, there we go.
There you go. Lots of cool Legion news. Now, the sad news here is the earliest release for all of this is January 2024. So nothing else coming out until the end of the year, which kind of sucks. I'm just addicted to buying minis now, but it would have been nice for some of these to come out soon, especially the Inquisitors. I'm probably going to be proxying them with some 3D printed models to see how the rules are. But it would be nice if the unit would be out soon. But alas, we gotta wait till next year to see them officially on the tabletop.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very action packed there. That's it. That's
Mhm.
everything. I don't have any other model news.
Yeah, that's kind of it for me as well.
Well then, what have you been up to, John, since the last time we've chatted 3 weeks
Lots
ago?
of games. Yeah, I've been working on some Red Scorpions, the AOS Sea to Sigmar box ride. So after I finish this first 500 points of Space Marines, I will be working on those humans. Played in a Legion tournament not last weekend, 2 weekends ago, and I got first place. It was pretty nice. I played Empire, played Boba Fett, IG-88 once again with Callus and Veers. The theme of the event was run as many you had to have a minimum of 3 special characters, and I'm like, well, my list just needs Veers, and it's kind of good to go. So yeah,
Yeah, get that Veers
three,
representation in there.
what's up?
Get that Veers representation in there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and he was good. Giving 2 aim tokens out. I didn't use any of his command cards, but giving 2 aim tokens out, and his gun's pretty good. With a range 3 with Pierce 1 and Sharpshooter. But yeah, as always, Boba Fett clutched my games. Not even like with bounty tokens, just being a badass and getting objectives, killing units, killing Han Solo. That was great. Killing IG-11 before he exploded in my lines. That was awesome. But yeah, just been doing that. Gonna have to miss There's a big tournament in the OC this weekend. Gonna have to miss that because I got other plans. But Legion scene in LA is getting the ball's rolling, which makes me happy. It's a great game. So
What is the OC?
Orange County.
Orange County. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a convention or something.
Oh no. It's Orange County. I wish there was an LA convention of Legion, but it's okay. How about you?
Interesting. You know, I got a when the meta drop, I did one game of 40k Eldar with all the point increases. I think with the point increases, I went up like 130 points. So
Oh wow.
I had to shave a few things off my list to get everything going. But I went against some Space Wolves, and it was interesting. I mean, I
Okay.
wiped the floor with the Space Wolves, as is the Eldar way.
Yes, as is the Eldar way.
But you know, nothing to bat an eye at with how cheap some of those units became.
Hmm.
So I did that. I played some what's it called? BattleTech last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, we're gonna still play some 40k at our old spot, but we're gonna, for the third week, we're gonna just put in a random game and we're just gonna try something out just to broaden our horizons with. Because the thing is, we have a lot of board games, a lot of tabletop games that we all have, but we don't play it because we only play 40k. So we're gonna try to play a little bit more, expand our
Yeah,
horizons, as I said.
that's cool.
So last week we did some BattleTech. This week, we're gonna do some Shadows of Brimstone. Continue our little campaign there. Uh, I've been busy gaming wise. I've been playing a lot of that Mortal Kombat 1 that just came out. Obviously did the story, which it was all right. I know you were going a little crazy on the story there earlier in the podcast, but
Yeah,
it
oh
was all
yeah, I
right.
enjoyed it. I was like, this is hilariously just bonkers and off the wall. I love it.
I wish for a little bit of a bigger cast of characters, but
That's fair. Having more playable characters is always a good thing, I think, for fighting games.
of
I do
course.
like the cameo system though, where they could introduce characters without worrying about there being a full character. I think that was kind of cool design.
It was nice. Yeah, I tried to play a little bit of the online. I have to know your character. Who do you play the
So
most?
right now, I usually play Scorpion, but this time I'm playing a lot of Sub Zero. I really like what they did with the character. Spoilers, but so the game is kind of a soft reboot for Mortal Kombat. With the last game, Liu Kang kind of resets the timeline. So the characters are slightly different. Like I think Baraka and like Reptile are good guys now, which is I think is kind of neat. But like Sub Zero, I think like Scorpion is like used to be Sub. So in the old timeline, the younger brother Sub Zero is Scorpion now, and the older brother is Sub Zero. The one who turns into Noob Saibot, but he doesn't die, which is cool. He just becomes like mean Sub Zero, which I think is great. So I like what they did with the character, and I've been having fun with him. So, and I really like the design that he has. But
Yeah,
what about you?
I'm not too big on the design of my ninjas, but
That's fair.
I prefer the MK9 look, but that's just
That's the
me.
classic. Yep.
Me, I'm going with Lei Mei.
Oh, okay. She was fun when I played in story mode.
Yeah, I just the combos and everything, just feels right.
Yeah,
Been
for
enjoying
sure.
that. Beat the hell out of story mode, of course. Beat that first. Then I did the whole live service season pass thing.
Uh huh.
What do they call it? Invasion. Did the
Invasion.
invasion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I experienced that a lot. And then obviously Resident Evil 4 came out with their Separate Ways DLC. I did that. That was a nice 4 hours, 5 hours of fun.
Nice.
And then just you know, I'm happy. I'm happy right now that Space Marine 2 isn't anywhere near launch right
Yeah. Right.
now. Looking at the wish list here, I don't think there's anything coming out right now that I'm interested in. So fingers crossed that it stays like that for
Yeah.
a couple months. But I've been doing that. Obviously, painting when I can. I've been just working on Shadows of Brimstone, obviously, finishing that up. I want to start working on my Black Templar,
Okay.
especially now that I have the Leviathan box set. Got all those new models I gotta get painted up. But yeah,
Yeah, I've been
that's
wanting to get new Space Marines, but I'm like, I should just probably paint the Leviathan stuff first. Not the Inferno Squad. I'm whatever with them. I'll be painting Intercessors instead and some Hellblasters. But like the Stern Guard, the Captain, the Dreadnought, I feel like I should work on those first before getting like the new Command Squad and stuff.
yeah. I think the Infernus Squad. I like the Infernus Squad. Well,
They're cool. Just I think for me, I want more line infantry in my army. Makes sense for Black Templars though. You got to get those flamers, you know.
of course, gonna get the jump back. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of models on my desk. I've slowly whittled them down so I can, move my mouse around now on my table.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the plan. Just to get all this stuff painted up. I can, take a little break on my gaming now that I've played as much as I wanted to play. But yeah, it's time to get back into the serious painting. Get back to my one model a day mantra.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I've been up to. It's been hectic, especially with work, which is why these last 2 weeks we haven't been meeting up and doing the podcast here.
Yeah, been busy, but always good to come back and chat about the hobby.
Of course, it's what I look forward to the most of my week. It's just talking Warhammer and whatever other hobby we can.
And I'm glad we just don't complain all day. I feel like there's a lot of just content out there that's just whining about the game. And I get it, like, right, like Games Workshop messes up a lot, but it's just kind of refreshing. Oh, this is cool. Like, I mean, there's times where like, oh, this model not excited for it, but this thing is great. This is a neat kind
Well,
of
yeah.
cool fun because it's a hobby, like we do this for fun, adding stress by with all the complaints just I don't feel it's conducive to our enjoyment of the hobby. But that's just me.
Well, if we were negative, what joy would there be? Why even be on the podcast?
Maybe when Old World comes out, we start playing, we can just complain about Old World. It's like,
Well, see,
talk.
I like memeing on Old World.
No, like we should actually play it and then complain.
Oh, complain. I mean, we could definitely do that. I've got my models. I'm ready to go.
Oh shoot, you do have your models. Great. Now I really got to play Old World. Empire Army, let's go. Fantasy lore is great. I've been reading the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Altdorf book, and it's like, wow, this is also Gotrek and Felix, man. Like, there's some cool stuff. I just like, yeah, Old World is nice. I mean, it's boring and generic, but it's also very Warhammer, which I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we should just play Old World and complain about the game.
We could definitely do that. I would be down to complain about Old World.
Yes.
Just for old time's sake. That was a good pun on my part. I know no one laughed,
Yep.
but
I'm sure someone as well.
Anyways, on that, I think it's time to call it.
Yep.
It was a pleasure. I'd like to thank everyone who made it to the end. And hopefully we won't be gone for 2 weeks, but we'll see you next time.
All right, everyone.